Lesson 11-3, Radical Equations. So, previous lesson we dealt with some radicals. Now we have to actually get used to doing them so we can solve an actual radical equation. So how would we solve this? Well, rule number one, we want to get the radical alone on one side. Now, if something's being multiplied against it, we can actually leave it there, but for the time being, let's get it out of there. So to get this alone, we add 8 to both sides. Get 2 radical x equals 8. And I still want to get the radical alone, even though I could do it with this. So I got radical x equals 4. Now, we've been in this situation before where we took square roots of both sides, and a lot of people get confused with it. Now we're going to square both sides to get rid of the radical. So square both sides. That gives us x equals 16. Most important thing at this point, always check your work. Sometimes you're going to introduce something called extraneous solutions. And when you check, you'll be shocked. They don't work, even though you followed the process correctly. And the reason they may not work is that there was a negative somewhere in the problem. And when you went to square it, you went negative times a negative is a positive, and that won't work. So it doesn't happen all the time, doesn't even happen most of the time, but it happens. So you always have to check. So 2 times the square root of 16 minus 8 should equal 0. 2 times 4 minus 8. 0 equals 0. Checked. That's really it. These problems change up a little bit, and you got to be careful. But, that's it. Now you just got to practice. So get the radical alone. I've seen quite a few people think they get this, and they forget that first rule all the time. Notice I can't do anything to what's inside the radical till I've squared away the radical. There I am. Got the radical alone. Squared away. In case it wasn't clear, when you square away the radical, all you're left with is what's inside the radical. Check if 23 works. 4 times 23 minus 7 plus 12. 23 minus 7 is 16. Square root of 16 is 4. 4 times 4 plus 12. 16 plus 12 equals 28. That's what we had up here. It works. Slightly different type of problem. See if you can figure out how to solve it on your own. You might want to pause the tape and see where it goes. If you're chicken and you didn't bother doing that, no problem. Square both sides. See if it works. It works. A lot of people at this point say, well, don't I have to reduce that radical? We're just checking. Root 40 equals root 40. If you want to get it down to 2 root 5, excuse me, 2 root 10 equals 2 root 10, be my guess, but you already know it works. You're just checking it, not solving it. This is your solution. That's your check. All right, flipping over. This is about as tricky as it gets. You're going to hate this because some of you thought, oh, no more of this previous unit we used to do. It's not going away. I warned you. You'll see what I mean in a second. Try it on your own if you want. Square both sides. See where it takes you. Now I'll do it. Two answers. Now I'm even more suspicious. We better definitely check these. And here's how we do this. You make sure you write your two answers out, and you check them one at a time. 6 minus -3 equals -3. I already know this isn't going to work. I can't take square root of something and get negative. But it's nice to see how it works. You can see 3 equals -3 doesn't work, and that's what I mean by at some point a negative somewhere in our process got squared away, a negative answer, even if we didn't recognize that it's negative at the time. So we keep all this the way it is, and we just cross one of those out. That shows me that you did the work, shows yourself you did the work. You don't go back and erase it, but you said, hey, I checked it, this one didn't work. And let's see if 2 works. I've had times where they both don't work, and it's very frustrating. You think you've made a mistake. Definitely works. That's really it. Now you get to practice on your own. Make sure you get the radical on its own before you do anything else. I'm going to run through the bottom ones very, very quickly. So if you want to take a chance and take some time and try them on your own, go for it. Out of room for my check here, so I'm just going to drop it here. Greater root of 1/16 is 1/4. Gives me 3 minus 3 equals 0. It checks. And now I'm starting to shortcut my steps, so watch out. I go quick on that. Let's check it. Definitely works. This one's tough. Can't square radicals if they're both on the same side. You can, but it makes life very miserable. Looking at this problem, I'm just going to check it on the fly real quick. 4 minus 3 minus 1. 1 minus 1 equals 0. Check. Square both sides. Since it's a quadratic, set it equal to 0. For -1. You know the -1's not going to work. Let's write that one up first. Can't have a square root equal a negative. So go back and cross that one out. And we can guess the other one's going to work, but let's check. Checks. That's it. A lot of math, a lot of algebra. Hence the reason you've been getting slammed on all year long with being quick on the algebra. And you'll get a lot of practice in this unit on that sort of thing. Good luck.